First of all, I'd like to thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. Your knowledge and experience in the permanent makeup field is immense. I really value the fact that you've created this course and you easily, nicely managed to share and relate all the information across to other permanent makeup artists that struggle with certain. Thank you for that. I do not regret spending a penny on your course. It was very much worth it. It's probably the most comprehensive and the most knowledge that I've gained in any courses that I've taken before, and I've taken quite a few master classes, but I'd like to underline the fact that none of these master classes share any information about the pigments and about their structure, how they behave in the skin, which I think it's mesmerizing why they don't do that. I just think it was this course was the most important course I've ever taken, because the knowledge that I've gained about the pigments and the importance of the pigments and choosing the right pigment for the right client and knowing how it's gonna look a couple of years ahead, not ago, it's super important. Kudos to you for putting this course together and finally putting it out into the world and helping other permanent makeup artists to better their day-to-day work. Second of all, I'd like to cover things that I struggled with before I've taken your course. One of the main things I used to struggle with is doing the skin diagnostics. Each client kind of nearly forgot to even look at their Fitzpatrick and determine the Fitzpatrick of each client, because I now work in Europe and more or less most of my Fitzpatricks goes up to 3, but even the fact that they have pheomelanin, red, yellow, how to determine keratin, all about the lips, the hemoglobin, the deoxygenated hemoglobin. I found all this information super useful to feel confident in skin diagnostics. So, and I think this is very important in choosing the right pigments for each client. So for me, one of the struggles was the fact that I didn't even do the skin diagnostics, and therefore I used to just choose a pigment really looking at the hair and just, you know, trying to match the color, which is, I don't think, the right way to do it. So now that I'm able to do the skin diagnostics, recognize the melanin level in their skin, makes it so much easier to choose the correct pigment base, and I've started to introduce that into my practice, and I see that it's much easier to do the pigment mixes. That was also a relation to me because I have a couple of correctors in my studio, but to be honest, I used to stay away from them unless I needed to do a correction, as in gray or other eyebrow or salmon eyebrows. But now I realize that the use of my correctors is so much more extensive, and I can apply it to so many different situations, to find out that even the fact that there's a mono corrector, which I didn't know. So for me, the use of correctors is also something new, and I'm enjoying doing the knowing how it's going to heal and what kind of result it's going to give. That really put me on a more confident position. The other thing was choosing the right handpiece and the right needle. I thought I knew what I was doing until I took your course, and finding out that medium taper does a certain thing, long taper does another thing, and that you have to match the correct taper with the correct handpiece. Looking at the client's skin, combining all of this, and also having in mind what pigment you're going to use, whether it's organic, hybrid or mineral, that will also have implications, or that will also have effect on what handpiece and what needle you're going to choose. So understanding that factor is also very important, which I think your course has definitely given me that. So those are the few things that I used to struggle with in my daily practice. Those are the things that you really given me and given me strength to understand equipment, the pigments, the skin, and put it all together. It's not all about the technique. That's what I'm trying to say. You know, technique is one thing, your hand moving is another thing, but knowing the pigments, the needle, and the handpiece, and even the power supply, the speed of your block, that will also kind of determine your end result, and regardless of what technique you use or you have. So understanding those factors is very important, which thank you for making me understand these things. Third thing I wanted to discuss and to give you my review on is things that I found useful from your course that I am keeping now and I'm using on a daily basis is your light fastness scale. I find that it's an irreplaceable tool for me now. Every pigment that I have in the studio or every new pigment that I'm purchasing, I'm making sure that I get all the CI numbers from the label, and I check the light fastness scale. And the fact that nobody knows about the light fastness, like what that word even is in the permanent makeup, the very little people know that I speak to, that are my friends, it's actually crazy to me, because that is so important, especially when working with eyebrows. So the light fastness scale table is irreplaceable for me, and I use it on a daily basis to see what kind of residue and what kind of healed result I'm gonna get, not only after 6 weeks, but after 6 months or 1 year or 2 years. So that is a gold mine for me. Another thing is the tone of the pigment, the table that you've shared where you've got swatches of an actual powder where it says whether it's a neutral, cold or warm shade, which is also very important, especially in lips. You know, you have many different reds, but one red could be neutral, one red could be warm, one red could be cold. And that will I also use to determine my lip pigments, whether they're on a colder, cooler side or warmer side. So those things I really use on a daily basis, and I really appreciate, so thank you. And one more thing is the cosmetic base, the importance of the cosmetic base in the bottle. I also find that is super important. Knowing the cosmetic base will also help you understand how that pigment's gonna go in the skin, or whether you can mix it with another pigment. So the knowledge and understanding that you provided on the cosmetic base is also very useful, that I also use in my daily practice. And one final thing I want to mention is about the removal, because I do laser removal and I did used to do chemical removal, but I only used to use saline. Knowledge that you've provided on different types of removals, chemical removals, and how to combine them in one treatment, or how to, not necessarily one treatment, but how to combine them as a treatment. Say step 1 do the chemical removal, step 2 do the laser, or sometimes we have to do the laser first and the chemical removal. So understanding those situations and doing the right evaluations on what's left on the client's eyebrows, it's very, very important, and I do value that a lot, because I do perform those treatments, and there was a lot of information that I didn't know until I took your course. I hope you understand how much value you've given me, how much value I'm sure you've given to other people that you're sharing your knowledge with, and please don't stop doing it. You're amazing at it. I thank you once again. Ciao.